Welcome back to Living Green. I'm your host, Kimon Kotos, and once again, I'm joined by Paul Keiser from Agriculture and Health Alive, LLC. And Paul, we were talking about how your thoughts and deeds matter and the kind of ways of appreciating the fact that we are able to be nourished by the land and not taking for granted what is available to us, not only from the earth, but in terms of with each other, how we respect each other and work together. One thing that I've seen over a number of years, going back to cooperatives, but even more so in a current sense, is the amount of farmers markets and people wanting to go out and find things that are fresh and natural and good for them. You've been involved with the Sweetwater Local Foods Market, as well as with Fulton and a number of things going back to the East Coast. Talk about the things that you've seen being there on a weekly basis, providing fresh food to people, and how their enthusiasms or attitudes have changed.
Well, certainly the more textures and colors and tastings and the more choice that there is, it attracts. It's like bees being attracted to a wonderful flower garden and other pollinators, and then how. A lot of it really is the citizens becoming more informed about their own health needs, and also the properties that are in the soil that can become into the food to them, and that is like a missing thing in terms of coming out of the educational systems that people are coming out of today. And so this is what I try to talk every time I talk about the elements, and carbon and calcium and magnesium and silicon. That the amino acids come from carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. And you add sulfur to them, and you have 5, and that's what proteins come from. And then you add magnesium to that, and those 6 make up chlorophyll in the leaf, the green leaf. Take away the magnesium and add iron, and you have hemoglobin in the blood of warm-blooded animals and human beings. And these are the basic building blocks. And then the trace elements are these stimulators of enzyme activities and biological function and glandular activities and circulation factors, breathing factors. It's all rhythmic stuff. But anyway, in the marketplace and even going to your CSA, you get to relate to the growers, the artisans, and you can talk about the food factors and the nutritional factors and this type of thing, and share information. And people like choices in these farmers markets, and they like to walk up and down and see all the wonderful foods and talk to the growers and this type of thing. But it's getting informed about your own personal health needs of feeding the whole body, and the enzymes, the elements. Maybe we need 100 elements in our body. And research isn't done on most of the trace elements because nobody's going to make $1 billion on vanadium or yttrium or scandium or something like that, So that research, we're not going to do that, this type of thing. But there's Minerals for the Genetic Code, which is a book available from Acres USA, which has more on the nutritional factors with trace elements than any other book I've ever read. Dr. Richard Olry from Hillman, Michigan, he's an osteopath, but he just loves the whole trace element issue. And it's one of the most brilliant people on it that I know of. But you're going into the market, for get nourished. And so therefore, the aesthetics of how the market is and how you feel when you leave, how you got treated by the farmer or by the vendor, this type of thing is all part of the experience. And the more education that's going on there, the more fulfilling it is, the more meaningful it is, the more you go away with.
Well, that's fantastic. And, one of the things I think that's important as well is, people are, you see people from children to grandparents. You see a whole range of generations there at farmers markets. But one of the things I want to say is that people are starting to wake up again. It's an ongoing struggle. How do we feed ourselves? They come to growers to say, how can I use this food? Learning new ways to cook and to care for the foods that they have, so that they make the best use of them and get good taste and good value for their money. Let's talk a little bit about that, but I also want to take some of the time we have left to talk about Acres USA and some of the groups that have been out there really trying to educate the public about why these things matter.
Well, the Acres USA was founded by Charles Walters, who passed away about a year and a half ago. maybe 2 years, and he was a fiery fighter for us human beings, for future generations, for healthy biodiverse landscapes, clean water, clean air. He was born in Kansas and grew up on his father's farm, and saw his parents struggling with the difficulties of the economy and weather, and this type of thing, and weather, the changes in the weather. But anyway, he just, that got inside of him, and he became a fighter for that. He was one of these wonderful geniuses that we have. We have many of them all around the planet that are doing wonderful things and doing good works, and many of them are not even heard of. But anyway, he finally started Acres USA. He was with the National Farmers Organization, and I think he edited a veterinary magazine for a while. And so he was just a brilliant guy. He wrote, 100 books or something like that. Just an incredible intellect, and also this fighting spirit, fighting for the truth, fighting for values, fighting for our community. Our community with the land as well, not just our community, human community, but also the community with the land that we live in. And the Biodynamic Farming and Gardening Association is another one. The Organic Consumers Association is another one. The Non-GMO Report is another one. You can find some of these things on the internet. There's global organizations like the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movements, IFOAM. My late wife Nancy went to their December 1994 meeting in New Zealand, and she presented a paper that I had written on organic agriculture on Pine Ridge Indian Reservation there. And then she also attended the annual Biodynamic New Zealand Association, the Biodynamic Farming Association New Zealand, and people came from all over the planet to that, all exciting people. Vandana Shiva and Peter Proctor was there, and a whole bunch of neat folks that are engaged in these issues globally. There's another outfit, which their name is escaping me.
Well, in addition to Pioneers.
Pioneers, yeah, yes. Yeah.
Well, one of the things we have a little bit of time left is you also have been an author and have written a number of things as well. Could you discuss some of your articles and things you tend to write about?
Well, I've been a great student, not a great student, but a student of history since the age of 17, when my intellect began to awaken back in the 50s. And I was interested in the origin of everything. How did we get here? What was here before? What was here 100 years ago? What was here 200 years ago? What was here 300 years ago? 1,000 years ago? This type of thing. So I studied also anthropology and archaeology and music and all kind of things, food, nutrition, agriculture, economy. Every anthropological study I could get my hands on, I would study, and I would even go listen to the musics of these peoples if I could get my hands on them. And then I've been writing about these things and trying to share these things. Pearl Buck said that to understand today, we must search yesterday. And those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
Unfortunately. Well, and we'd like to thank you, Paul, for joining us today.
Sure.
And why don't you let the folks know how they can reach you if they have any more concerns?
Well, my telephone number is 616-677-6176, and my address is 2757 Hayes Road in Marne, Michigan, 49435. I've retired from the internet and other mostly electronic stuff. So.
Well, and we'd like to encourage you to watch the Living Green series that we'll be running all year here on DSE-TV and also on dsetvmuskegon.com. And we welcome your viewership, and we want to thank you and thank Paul for sharing his library. And any suggestions or things that you have for us, please contact us again at dsetvmuskegon.com. And we thank you for joining us, and good health to you.
Thank you.